In today's video, we're going to be reviewing and testing the new Aeroo Pro Fishing Drone. We will go over all the technical details of this drone, and then we're going to take it out in the field and give it a good test. If you're thinking about purchasing this drone, then this video will give you a good idea what it is capable of. And if you already have purchased this drone, then we will give you lots of tips and tricks on how to improve your fishing with this drone. Well, that's our first sketch on the Aeroo drone. Aeroo drone.
Wow!
Another cage with our new Aeroo drone. Awesome. Now if you guys want to see what you get in the box here, we made a previous unboxing video. I'll link that up in the description as well. On top of that, in our unboxing video, we discovered a really cool use case for this drone that you probably couldn't imagine in your wildest dreams. Even if you're not interested in the unboxing, it's worthwhile checking out this video. Okay, ready? Let's dive right into our review. Now before we get this baby up into the air, let's talk a little bit about the features of this drone that are particularly important for us fishermen, right? First question that comes to mind for most of you fishers is how much payload can it carry? The Aeroo Pro drone is designed to carry 1 kilogram of payload, which is sufficient for probably 95% of all cases where you would use a drone for fishing. A 1 kg payload covers like all your standard rigs, baits, sinkers and everything you need to extend your cast. And that is the purpose of drone fishing, right? To extend your cast. Now I've seen a few comments on Facebook that complained about having only a 1 kilogram payload on this drone. But I think a 1 kilogram is just the best compromise for drone fishing because it balances the speed, the portability and also the affordability of a drone. If you would raise the payload to, let's say, 5 kilogram, then you would need a much bigger drone, which makes it much less portable. You would also need bigger batteries, bigger motors. Bigger batteries require more power. It would take longer to charge. Yeah, it would make the drone a lot more expensive as well. It just defeats the purpose of drone fishing, right? Now, for those of you who still think that 1 kilo payload is not enough, let me just show you how much gear you can fly out in 1 kilo. Now, let's start with a sinker. 5-ounce sinker. 157 gram. My trace, I got the safety clip, 2 hooks on here and a couple of floats. Sorry, I actually got 3 hooks on here. 162 gram, still not enough. Let's add another 3 hooks, so we got 6 hooks on there. 1, 2, 3 hooks, 3 more hooks. We got 165 gram. Check out some bait here in my kimchi jar. Salted bait. This is enough bait for a whole fishing session. And let's put 2 baits in here as well. 2 whole anchovies. And we're at 192 gram with the bait. 200 gram. So if you think 1 kilo payload is not enough, then please let me know in the comments what you intend to fly out with this drone. The only upside for having a bigger payload is if you wanted to use a drone for long line fishing off a beach to carry out 25 hooks or something crazy like that on a long line. But I think for that scenario, a drone is not really the right device. You would be better off by using a fishing Kontiki or a fishing torpedo for that kind of purpose. You would also need a very expensive heavy beach reel. And all this kind of stuff adds up a lot and takes away from the fun of drone fishing. So from my experience, a 1 kilogram payload is just perfect for a fishing drone and just gives you the perfect balance. Now the next feature of the drone is the electronic bait release or mechanical bait release. Lots of the other fishing drones, they have a tension release. That means you have to close your bail arm and the tension of the line will release the bait. Whilst the Aeroo Pro drone has an actual electronic bait release, which is really cool. That makes it really easy to drop the bait into precise location. That's this one here on the bottom. And to control the electric bait release, we got a button here on the drone directly. You can see if I push that, it opens and closes the little bolt in there responsible for the bait release. And we also got a second button here on our controller. Now the first button is very handy when you first load up your bait on the beach. I found it easiest to hold the drone on this bottom arm here, and I can then reach easily with my thumb that little button to open and close the bait release. I have the other hand free to attach my bait to the drone. So I attach my bait, close the button, put the drone back down onto the beach, and then I fly the drone out with my controller, and when I want to drop the bait I just hit that drop button here on the controller and the bait will come off. Now the little bolt here, the bait drop release mechanism, is controlled by a powerful servo motor. We also showed you a use case where the electronic bait release comes in really handy. You can use it, for example, to drop burley into the fishing spot where you want to drop your bait later, which you can't do with a tension release only. So now we're going to test the burley drop with my little Greek yogurt container here. So I got like some dried burley pellets here, and I'm gonna fill up this container with it. Now the Aeroo drone that we're using for dropping that's got a 1 kg payload. So easy, that's about maybe 500 grams or so. So one rope that goes around the drone to hold the container, and the other rope holding the container like this on the release. And if I release it, this rope will fall down. The container will empty, and this will still be on the drone so that I can fly the empty container back. So hopefully we're not going to lose the drone trying that, but you got to try, right? There we go.
The home point has been updated. Please be mindful of the new return to home point.
Bring the camera down. I can see the birdie here, see? I can see it here on the screen. Look, it's hanging there.
Oh, perfect.
Now I'm gonna release it. Okay, let's see, we're gonna release it. There we go, check this out. Straight down there. Another concern I've been reading a lot on some of the Facebook comments is that people are wondering if this drone is waterproof. The Aeroo Pro drone is not designed to be waterproof. It's not a waterproof drone. And to all those people who wonder about this, why a fishing drone is not waterproof, I think those are just concerns of people who have never flown a drone before, who haven't used any drones for fishing. A drone is not designed to be a watercraft, guys. It's not designed to swim or dive. It's an aircraft, right? It is supposed to fly in the air. That's what a drone is for. So it doesn't need to be waterproof. I understand the concerns for a newcomer. You think, yeah, you use the drone for fishing by a beach. There's a lot of water around and it might get wet. It get damaged from that. But it is not like that. A drone is not supposed to swim. And the only time the drone would hit the water would be due to any technical faults, right? If it flies out and something breaks, you get a loose battery connection or some error and the drone would crash into the water. In that case, even a waterproof drone won't help you much because, yeah, how are you going to get it back? Unless it's still attached to your line and you manage to reel it back in or something like that, you won't get your drone back no matter if it's waterproof or not. Another downside of waterproof drones would be that they have to be completely sealed, and the drone produces a lot of heat, so there needs to be air circulation inside the drone. Waterproof drones potentially struggle with overheating, leading to even earlier technical faults, right? I think waterproof drones are a gimmick. They give you a false sense of security, and for that you have to pay at least 2 to 3 times as much as for a non-waterproof drone. And in 99% of the time you don't need them unless you want to fish really in heavy hardcore rain. Yeah, maybe that would be the only real scenario where a waterproof drone would be somewhat helpful. The Aeroo Pro drone is surprisingly water resistant. It is coated with saltwater resistant coating inside out, so it is water spray resistant and it can handle light rain and drizzle. Like I said, waterproof drone, my opinion, absolutely useless. Next feature that is quite important for fishing, because when we go fishing we often have to deal with wind. You hardly ever get a day where you're out on the beach and it is no wind. We want to have a drone with a good wind resistance, and the Aeroo here has a wind resistance of 50 kilometers per hour. That is about 25 knots, which is quite a lot. So you can fly in pretty tough winds with a drone, and you don't have to worry that the wind will be too strong that it won't come back or that it will go off course or something like that. The other thing which is related to the wind resistance a little bit is the speed. That's how fast the drone can fly. So it can go 62 kilometers per hour, which is pretty fast. So of course it flies into the wind. Then you have to subtract the wind speed from the speed that the drone can do. But on light winds, it can probably do like easy 50 to 60 kilometers per hour, which will get your baits out really fast to where you want to drop them and get the drone back to you really fast as well. Now, the advantage of flying your baits out very fast is that when you fly your baits out with an open bail arm, then you don't get a lot of slack line, right? It's like casting. You want to cast fast with an open bail arm, so that if there's a little bit of wind, doesn't have so much time to drag your line out to either side, and you lose more line of your reel, or the line is slack in the water. So yeah, that's a good advantage. So on our controller and in the app, we got a couple of options to change the speed of the drone. So we got a filming mode, a normal mode, and a sport mode that we can set on the drone. And depending on the mode, the drone will fly at a certain speed. So in the filming mode, it will be the slowest speed, so you can get some smooth footage. But if you're a beginner in drone flying, you might also want to use this mode until you get a bit more comfortable. Then later on, when you're very comfortable flying a drone, then you can switch to sport mode, and then you can fly out your baits at full speed, save a little bit of time. Now the next feature, important for fishing, would be the battery life. The drone comes with these batteries. If you get the combo package, you get 2 batteries, and then you can order more batteries if you want. Each of those batteries can fly the drone for 45 minutes according to Aeroo. Now this is under ideal conditions. Often though, you will have wind, and then you have also the weight from your bait. So this will all reduce a little bit of the battery life. So I would say more realistically, you probably get about a 30-minute flight time out of one battery, which is still a lot for filming and for dropping your bait. 30 minutes is quite a lot of time. If you get the combo package, you also get this 4 battery charger. So you can charge a couple batteries at the same time. They just plug in here like so, and then this plugs into the wall charger. Each battery charges then up in about 2 hours. So even if you're out somewhere camping, you can attach an inverter to that one and charge it up in your car, for example, or from an external power bank. So I would say think about 5 casts, depending on wind and how much load you put, how much you use out of this 1 kilo payload. I'm usually flying about 300 to 400 gram out. That is 2 hooks and a sinker. I get plenty of casts out of it. Often I only use 1 battery and not 2 batteries when I'm having a fishing session. Gets me fishing for a couple of hours with 1 battery. Another question people have been asking on Facebook is if this drone comes with a camera, and I'm happy to say that this drone comes with a full 4K camera. I personally think that a camera is very important for a fishing drone. Lots of the other fishing drones out there that are more expensive than the Aeroo Pro drone don't come with a camera. Yeah, some people might not think it's important, but a camera is really good to scout out your fishing spots and to find the perfect spot to drop your baits when you fly it out from your beach. You might want to look for drop-offs or channels, sandbanks and so on, and drop your baits right there. If you don't have a camera, it's really hard to find out the right distance where you want to drop your baits. So you kind of have to rely on what you see from the beach, and that is not always easy to judge. You know, sometimes you just want to drop them past the very first breaker, and you got to find that. If you have a camera and you can have it facing downward, you can find that spot very easy and just fly there, drop your baits right there. So camera is very important. You can also use a digital zoom on the drone to really zoom in onto those fishing spots, right, to see where you want to drop your baits. Or maybe you can even spot fish, which is sometimes possible. So here is the camera, guys, and it's a full 4K camera on a 3-axis gimbal, so it moves in all directions for ultra smooth footage. As you know, a drone moves around in the wind a lot when it's flying to steady itself. So if you want to film some footage, you really need a good gimbal, and Aeroo hasn't skimped on that at all. So yeah, having this camera, game changer, and it's not only good for filming, but also really good for fishing to have this camera. And of course, if you are a content creator like us, then having a camera on a drone is invaluable, because you can film really nice footage from your fishing spots, right? Now keep in mind that if you want to use the camera, you have to purchase an extra ultra fast SD card. I'm using a 64 gigabyte ultra ScanDisk SD card here, and you can just slot that in right here on the side of the drone. There's the SD card slot. It is a little bit difficult once it's in there to get it out there, because it's just a small slot and you have to kind of get your finger in there. And maybe that's why they also include that these little tweezers here in the package. So you can get this SD card out a bit easier if you use the tweezers, right? And just pull it out with those tweezers. You can much more easy grab it this way, and there we got it back out. If you got big fingers like me, it makes it a little bit more difficult. But it's also nicely protected. See, if you, this is the SD card compartment, and there's a nice little protection over it. Yep, so that will protect your SD card from all the elements. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, really well done, Aeroo. We like this camera, it's awesome. So another feature you might be wondering about is the distance the drone can fly. So if you look at some of the cheap drones, you can get, they have a very short control distance, maybe 500 meters only or something like this. The Aeroo, and we're talking about the control distance between the controller that you're holding in your hand and the drone. For the Aeroo, it's 10 kilometers control distance. So that's a lot, right? Now, you probably wouldn't fly the drone 10 kilometers away from you, because what for, right? You're not even allowed to fly a drone so that you cannot actually see it anymore. But what the 10 kilometer control distance tells us is that there is a very stable, sturdy, strong connection, wireless connection to the drone. So if there are interferences, or if there are some hills in the way or something like that, you want to film with a drone, explore the area around you a little bit, you always have a very strong signal between the controller and the drone, and you won't lose the signal easily. And besides that, there's also a 2.7K image transmission between the controller and the drone. So you always get an ultra crisp video feed on your phone from the controller, so you can see everything that's going on there, right? Now this brings me to the next feature that lots of you fishers might wonder about. How does the drone come back, right? If you fly out your baits, does it have a return to home? Yeah, of course, this drone has a built-in GPS. That's what makes it fly very stable and sturdy. So if you let go of your controller, it will just hover there. It always knows its position. And if you fly out your baits and you want to get the drone back quickly, you just hit the return to home button on the controller, and the drone comes right back to where you started, and it will even land itself there. Another thing is, if something happens, if you lose power on your controller, your phone disconnects accidentally, or something unforeseen happens, the drone will automatically return home. So it will not just sit out there and hover until the battery is depleted and crash. It will just come back and land itself where you started off. So very secure and very easy to bring the drone back. So it landed itself completely. I didn't have to do anything except hit the return to home button, and it came back here. Pretty easy. I'll turn it off so that we save battery and if we do another cast. If you're a beginner drone fisherman, you don't even have to learn all the advanced maneuvers and controls on a drone. All you really need to know is how to start the motors, how to bring the drone up, how to fly it forward, and then how to push the button to drop the bait. So only these 3 movements is really what you need to learn, because once you drop the bait, you just hit the return to home button, the drone comes back and lands itself again. So it's very easy. When you get more comfortable, then you can bring it back manually as well, and you can do some nice flight maneuvers to do some filming of your fishing spot as well, right? But just to get started and do your first cast, super easy. Another thing interesting for us fishermen is always the safety. We don't want to lose our drone to any unforeseen circumstances, right? It's a budget-friendly drone, but it's still quite an investment. When you do drone fishing, there are lots of things that can go wrong. For example, your line could jam up while your drone is attached to your fishing line, right? While you're flying out your baits. Something could go wrong on your reel, or your line could get somewhere stuck. It could jam up. In that case, it could potentially drag your drone down into the water. There could also be a bird flying into the line, or it's very windy and the wind is blowing your line out and it ends up on top of the water and there's a bit of driftwood or seaweed in the water and it will jam up your line, right? All these kind of scenarios, they could lead to a disaster. And that's why Aeroo includes those safety release clips that you attach between your line and the drone. This is a really cool feature in my opinion, because it saves you from losing your drone. So the release clips are built so that they add an additional tension release in addition to the mechanical release that we have here. So in case there's too much tension on the line, when your line gets jammed up, then the tension release will come into play and the line will release anyway and you won't lose your drone. So that's a really cool feature which makes flying this drone and using this drone for fishing very, very safe in my opinion. And yeah, really nifty feature. I've been using a tension release with my DJI Phantom 3 drone for a long time. We made a lot of videos about that and it works on a similar base. Yeah, really cool. Another thing they included is a bottom-facing bright LED light. Now that's also quite good if you're flying in a darkish conditions. You're not really allowed to fly a drone in night when it's really dark, but in low light conditions in the evening or early mornings, you can turn on an additional LED light downward facing to see what's going on under the drone and to see the drone in the sky. One thing I wanted to mention, what really impressed me the first time I laid my eyes on this drone, is the build quality and the design of the drone. I think Aeroo has some really good designers working on these drones. It has this matte black color and this sleek design. It just sets it miles apart from all these other clunky looking fishing drones out there. Now when you first get your hands on this drone, you'll notice just how sturdy it is. It just feels really solid, made for the abuse that we fishers put it through, like the saltwater environment, right, at the beaches and stuff like that. Also have a look at these solid motors and those big propellers. Now these ones are perfect to get your bait out the distance where you want it. From the body design, from the batteries to the propellers, everything just looks really sturdy and very well designed. I have no doubts that this drone will easily withstand years and years of abuse. There's really nothing that looks like it's flimsy or could break easily. So very impressed with that actually. Let's have a look at the controller and the app. The Aeroo drone requires you to have a phone to fly, unlike other drones like the Condor drone that can fly without a phone, but then you only have a little LCD display on your controller and you have no idea what's going on really besides the distance and the height of the drone. With the Aeroo drone, you connect your phone and you got a full screen view of what's going on. You got your camera feed on your phone and you see all the other important information that you need, your GPS connections, your speed, your height, a map view, and everything you need to know when you fly a drone, right? So I think that is very good to have a phone connected to your controller. What I also like is that the controller connects to your phone via a cable, not via a Wi-Fi connection, so you have a strong connection to your phone. Let's put the drone aside for a moment, have a look at the controller. That is the controller here, guys. Very nice and ergodynamic. It's got two antennas here and the bottom slides out to attach your phone in here. And the phone is connected via USB cable between the controller and the phone, giving you a nice stable connection between controller and phone. Now the app for the Aeroo drone is also a very good design, easy to download for your iPhone or Android phone. Just install the app, log in, plug in the drone, and it's ready to go. If you have ever flown a DJI drone, switching to the Aeroo Pro app is super easy. It is similar in its setup and you get all the same features and buttons. It even has some advanced flight modes like tracking and filming modes and things like that. So I haven't played around with those too much yet, but that is a really cool feature too. I want to try the tracking next. You can draw a little square around you and have the drone track you. And if you're into filming, really good feature. So I hope introducing those features to you guys and talk about the features that I think are very important and very good about this drone helped you a little bit to decide if this is the right drone for you or not. Now, this was the first part of our video, and in the second part of the video now, we're going to take it down to the beach and show you the drone in action a little bit. Let's go. Now guys, if you are interested in purchasing the Aeroo Pro drone for your fishing, then make sure to check out the links in the description or in the first comment. Aeroo is an Australian company and they are based in New South Wales. So they'll ship the drones from their warehouse right there. And if you order via the link that we provide, you will also support our channel a little bit so we can make more content and hopefully create more helpful videos for you guys. All right, everybody, we're out at the beach and now we just want to show you quickly how easy it is to set up the Aeroo Pro drone.
I'm here.
My assistant Haitian Park is going to show you guys now how to set up the Aeroo Pro drone, right? You all want to know how easy it is to set it up, so let's do it.
Oh, I'm actually a beginner drone fisherman. Drone fisherwoman. So anyone who starts drone fishing, you can do it too, because I can do it.
Okay, so let's have a look. We got our Aeroo Pro drone here. Let's take it down to the beach here. It's quite windy here though. All right, so step number one, we'll take the drone out.
Bam.
Step number two, we put the battery in the drone. Now we get the controller, fold out the antennas, plug in the phone, and then we're gonna plug in the phone cable. So USB-C to USB-C in the case of an Android phone. Okay, after we plug in the phone, we turn on the controller.
Not fully charged though.
One little tip from me here, make sure your phone is completely charged when you plug it into the controller, because of the USB-C connection between the controller and the phone. If your phone is not charged, then the controller will try and charge the phone. So the battery on the controller will go down pretty quick. So you might be wondering, why do I only have 3 bars left suddenly, or 2? It's because it's charging your phone. So come with a fully charged phone. So once you turned on the controller, the phone will then automatically load the Aeroo Pro app. And then second step, turn on the drone. Same as the controller, just double push there. And now the drone will connect to the controller. the controller will stop blinking. And now we just go into enter device, and then you will see the camera feed of the drone right here. See? So the drone is ready to fly. That was all that is needed to set up. When you first start the drone for the very first time, you might need to calibrate it one time, or when you move locations and you go to a very different beach, you might want to calibrate the drone one time. That's pretty easy to do. There's a menu in the controller, it says calibration, so we go to
Now, normal compass.
it will tell you if it needs calibration. It will tell you it has an abnormal compass reading. The compass is the thing that needs calibration every now and then. We got the abnormal compass reading, so we can go to settings, and then we can go compass. We see that in yellow, start calibration, and now it will show us what we need to do. To calibrate the compass, we need to first turn the drone around horizontally a couple of times. The app will then tell us this is done. Then we need to hold the drone vertically and turn it around that way a few times, and then make sure you don't get too dizzy when you do that, and then the app will tell you now it's done, the drone is ready to fly. Now Haitian is looking for a nice spot where she can put down the drone. She doesn't really know where to put down the drone. I wanted to show you one cool thing that you might want to get. If you also have trouble finding a good spot to put the drone down, I normally just put it down wherever. But Aeroo has this really cool little thing here. Now this is really handy to have when you're on a beach. You guess what that is? We got some pegs here. Ooh, almost got that in my face. We got a nice landing pad here. So let's put that on the ground, and then we put the drone on there so we don't get any sand into the propellers and stuff like that. All right, Haitian, now you don't have to wonder, you just put it on there. How good is that? Look at that. Perfect, eh? Nice little landing pad. So the app tells us it's ready to fly. Takes a little moment when you first turn it on until it gets all the GPS connections before it tells you ready to fly. Not long, maybe 30 seconds or to a minute or so, depending on the sky, how clear it is. And you need, of course, a GPS connection to fly the drone. That's how you get all these features, you know, the return to home and all this kind of stuff, and the drone being able to fly itself, basically. So you always need to wait for that GPS connection, which goes really fast. If you're new to flying drones, some of you guys might think, oh, that is very, very difficult. I might not be able to do that. But let me show you how easy that is. So Haitian here is a noob in drone flying. She tried a little bit flying the old DJI Phantom that we have before. Not very successful with that. And now she's gonna try and demonstrate how to fly the drone for fishing. First we start the drone, then we're gonna fly it straight out 300 meters. We can also hit the record button, yeah, and then Haitian hits the return to home button and brings it back. Okay, so to start the drone, we bring the controllers to the bottom and then to the side. Outside. Yep. To fly the drone up, we just use the left controller, that is up and down. Okay, not too high. Now, if Haitian does not do anything on the controller, she doesn't touch the controller at all now, the drone is just hovering there. So nothing is happening to the drone. It doesn't crash or anything if you don't use the controller. If you take your hands off the controller, it will just hover in the air. Bring it down a little bit lower so we can see it. So the drone is just hovering there, guys. See? No worries. So what you need to learn when you're new to drone fishing is this button, up and down.
Up and down, up and down.
And the other button and the other control stick on the right hand side. All you need to remember there is forward, really, because you want to fly the drone out forward to drop your baits, right? All the other advanced stuff you can worry about later when you want to do some filming with it. Okay, so we got the drone pointed straight out to sea now. So just push the forward flight button. And there she goes.
A little bit high up.
You can put her up a little bit higher as well, yep. While you can do this at the same time, fly forward and put her up high at the same time. There you go. And on the phone screen, we can see all the data we need to do. We can see the distance.
Forgot the film.
We're at 178 meter distance now. We can see the height. We're only at 15 meters height, so you can bring her up a little bit higher to, like, let's say 20, 25, 30 meter. 30 meters is a good height. And Haitian is still pushing the forward button, so we're going out to 300 meters. So at 300 meters, the drone is also it's already very small, just a little black dot on the sky. You're not really allowed to fly a drone further than where you can't see it anymore, where you don't have eye contact with a drone. Luckily, the Aeroo Pro drone is black and it stands out really good to a blue, bright sky. So you can see it from a fair distance away. It's also a fairly big drone, so it's fairly easy to see. So to move the camera, there's a little wheel here. Pulling the wheel to one side moves the camera down.
I can see the bottom of the thing here now.
And the other side will move the camera upwards.
Okay.
Alright, so see, Haitian is not doing anything. The drone is out there at 400 meter distance. And she's not doing anything with the controller except playing around with the camera movement right now. Camera up and down. If you want to see what the water looks out there, then the camera is really useful, right? You can point it straight down from the drone, and then you can see if the water color is changed, if there's a sandbank or something like that. How simple was that? So we only needed these two control sticks. Now let's bring the drone back. So we just have to push the home button and hold it down. Okay. Okay, so the app told us return to home. And I can see the drone. It flies up to a certain return to home distance, which you can change in the settings. I think in our case it's 50 meters. So first it goes up 50 meters and then it will come straight back to where we started based on the GPS coordinates. So there the drone's coming up in the sky, and it's coming straight back to where it started. It's right above us now. And if we don't touch the controller now, it will just slowly descend from the sky. So you don't have to do anything, Haitian, right now. You just wait.
Anything?
Alright, so it's coming down. Let's see if it... We're not exactly at the landing pad, so we can change that with a controller, but we don't really need to. So there it goes. It landed itself. Not exactly where the control pad is, but almost. Now this is when you're a total noob, right? Like if I would fly it down, when it comes down back home, I would use the control sticks to bring it back manually, so you can of course fly it left and right and stuff, so you can bring it straight back onto your control pad, or even catch it with your hand if you're not too worried about losing your fingers. After filming this clip, I actually realized that Aeroo has a feature in the app where you can actually have the drone detect the landing pad on the ground. It will point the camera downwards on the return to home, and then it will use the camera to basically detect the landing pad. It will adjust its position so it will land straight onto the landing pad. Turned off by default, so you want to turn it on if you want to use it. Now I didn't know that when I was trying the return to home feature function here, because I usually fly it back manually, so I haven't had any need for that. But this is actually a really nifty feature, and I always thought that the landing pad is only useful, you know, to not get any sand or dirt onto the drone when you land it, or any moisture from wet beaches, but it actually has the other function as well. That's really cool if you want to do it completely hands-free, right? Okay guys, let's wrap things up. I hope you enjoyed our review of the Aeroo Pro drone. So I tried to show you as much as I can about the new Aeroo Pro drone in this video, and as you've seen, I'm very impressed with this drone. And I'm not only saying that because Aeroo sponsored a drone for our channel, thanks to Aeroo again, but I really do believe that this is the best fishing drone currently available, especially for the price of the drone. Now guys, if you have any more questions, just let us know in the comments. We made a ton of videos with this drone already showing it in action, so if you want to see, for example, a video how we use this drone from a total beginner's perspective, check out the video up here. For other videos about the Aeroo Pro drone, I made a little playlist gonna be up here. You can check that as well. Let us know what you think, and we see you in the next video, guys. Cheers.